Hello, good night, good evening, and welcome to Season 23, Round 1 of the iRacing, or the Reddit iRacing League. I am your host, Alex Albert, and with me tonight is David Haynes. Say hello, David.
All right. Hello, Alex, and hello, everyone. Very
we're the short. Starting. Yep, sorry about the short start, but the grid is already set. The cars are on the line now. Here we go. Engines up. Alexander Crawford is your pole sitter. Sitting beside him is Giovanni Romano. Here they go. Devin Peters in the third position gets a great start, along with Alexander Klink there in the 13. Jordan Babcock falling back into the clutches of the 42 of Evan Merrill as Tom Ellison looks on.
Devin Peters got a very good start in these street stock sort of oval cars, but we are here at Okayama International Full Circuit for 50 minutes of racing with a required pit stop tonight. They're off to a relatively clean start out there, Alex.
Yes, they are. I didn't see any contact among our front runners there, and so that's a great thing. Good start to a season. And to see Bueller making a great move down there into the 180-degree turn onto the backstretch, passing Tom Ellison.
Yeah, Devin Peters also
fighting back. Tom looking to have a run down the inside here. Can he make it stick? I think he will, but let's see here. Babcock
too wide through that hairpin they go. It's very, very tight in that mid-pack, sort of back from fifth. And Jordan Babcock.
Ooh! Yeah, Babcock takes a bit of a ride there, but he catches it. Was there contact there? Did Ellison get into Babcock?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, and these are cars that are very difficult to drive on a road course. The suspension doesn't really like you, and there's the tires aren't the greatest tires in the world either, so they're very, very difficult to drive on a circuit like this.
Yeah, the tires you speak of, the Biasply tires, they're unlike the radial tires on a modern car. The construction of the tires allows them to have quite a bit more sidewall flex, and the heat can really build up. Typically a trailer tire, like on my race hauler, I actually use radial tires, but the cheaper tire and on a typical trailer is a radial. So Babcock, I went back and took a look at that. There was no contact.
Somewhere along the line, Devin Peters has worked his way up into the lead. So that 911 car, up 2 positions from where he started. Alex Crawford now back in a second. Giovanni Romano in third. Alex Klink is in fourth, and he's looking on very intently at that pack for the lead. And closing the gap up is Evan Merrill, doing very well. Tom Ellison behind him. Jordan Babcock struggling a little bit, down 3 positions from where he started, Alex.
Yeah, bad luck there for Jordan. With a great run in practice and in qualifying, I talked to Jordan before the race, and he said that his crews really hit on something with the setup, and they found a lot of speed. I asked if he would share that with me, and he was a little reluctant. So we'll have to see here in the coming days and weeks if Jordan lets us in on some of his go fast secrets.
Well, fair enough. He's being hassled immensely right now by Alex Bueller. Bueller looks to the inside of the hairpin earlier and looks to the inside here, still not getting it over. He gives a little tap to Babcock, but they both carry on. But very, very aggressive body language from Bueller there. Also, hi to my Aaron at home.
Yeah, Bueller is quite the road racer. He's a winner in this series, and I'm sure that he's expecting to run a little higher than 8th, so wanting to get a move on, get around Babcock. As I see a newcomer, Brandon Crow there in the 07, keeping pace. I think that might be, other than Giovanni, who's a newcomer to the league, flashed onto the scene there at the end of last season. But Crow, also a newcomer to the league. We see Nate Franklin battling a little farther back, and Justin Hall. So behind them,
not Franklin's best qualifying this race, starting from 14th, but he's making good on it now.
Yeah, Franklin in his traditional 24 car there with the tribute to Jeff Gordon, one of all of our childhood heroes, I think. So great to see the 24 back on the track here. And this battle, Crow has now got up beside Bueller, and Babcock's getting away. Man, Bueller's really struggling tonight here on the tires.
Yeah, indeed. This is an open setup, so people can have a little bit of what they like. And some people, that might give them one lap pace, but not look after their tires. One other thing we got to think about for this race is that there will be a pit stop for fuel at some point. These guys have got to be thinking about that early, I'm sure, with exactly how slow the fuel fills in this car. A little bit of fuel saving can give you a big advantage. Bueller going very slow and gets tapped by Crow there.
Right. Oh, and we see the 07 doing an homage to Bueller there with a big old drift coming out of the corner. But not to be out-snipped. Snipper gets a little bit of a tail slide here, exiting the last corner onto the front stretch.
These gaps are staying incredibly tight, even as we've finished now a few laps. We're on to lap 5 now, and still for the lead is incredibly close, and all the way down through to 7th, there's no gap bigger than 1 second, and 8th through to 16th, there's also no gaps bigger than 1 second. So very, very closely matched this week.
Yeah. Wow. The 127 now has the bit between his teeth, ready to take the fight back to the 911. 911 as an emergency, not 911 as in Porsche. So Devin Peters, the fan favorite, the lumberjack from up north, leading him down the backstretch here.
Yeah, Alex Coffard didn't quite get the draft along that straight I thought he would. Devin Peters is looking a little more comfortable. Giovanni Romano is throwing some defensive moves to keep Alex Klenk behind. That battle for third there, now they're within a car length there, and Alex Klenk has his bumper right under the spoiler of Giovanni Romano.
Yeah, and I just got a good look at Klink there in one of the camera angles. Really got the elbows up, got the hands on the steering wheel. Oh, a little bit of contact there with the 99. Klink got the bit between his teeth. He's ready to fight. Running a little bit wide there, maybe just taking the Fernando Alonso line through the corner. A little bit of a late turn in there.
Bit of a gap forming, though, from behind Jordan Babcock in 7th to Alex Bueller, and then a gap from Bueller to Nate Franklin, who's still defending from Brendan Crow and has Justin Hall and Shane Cameron in tow behind.
Yeah, pretty steady. The field packed in there all the way back to, I would say, about 17th. It's a pretty steady line of them there. Ooh, but back up there at the lead, man, the racing is tight. I think that we'll see a move out of Crawford here before long. You know what? I'm going to correct myself. I don't think we will. I think Crawford is saving fuel.
Well, the driver's not able to... it's a 50% fuel restriction for this race. So all of these guys are going to have to take fuel at some point. This car fills incredibly slowly. How long do you think a gallon takes to fill in these cars? As Klenk looks for third position.
And there, I think he's going to get it. Will it happen cleanly? Yep, Giovanni gives him plenty of room. Lets the sophomore Alex Klenk come on through. Talked to Klink's press agent. Apparently, he's got a little bit of seat time in the FSAE car up there at WPI. So, really putting some of those driving talents to work for the best of the team.
Yep, I imagine that's a car with quite a bit of grip and not an incredible amount of horsepower. So it would drive rather differently to this street stock, but seat time is seat time, and there's no substitute for experience.
Right. As we see Crawford continuing to hound Peters, but I think he's just riding. If I've seen Crawford play this strategy in other races, in street stock specific leagues, he's an expert at this car, and he's an expert at fuel saving, and I think that he's going to use that to his advantage because, like you mentioned, the fuel fill in this car is so slow that it really, really rewards fuel saving. So it'll be interesting to see here tonight. I don't think Peters is saving, though, and I don't think Klink's saving either. He was on the throttle all the way to the braking zone that time. Big flames out the tailpipes.
Yeah, so Alex Klink has worked himself up 2 spots from where he started out of 5th position. Now in 3rd, he's keeping Giovanni Romano sufficiently behind him, and on the brakes here this time, he's well and close to Alex Coffard. Nearly a bump there as well. I have to say, incredibly...
Oh, there it is! Gave him a little chrome horn there.
Indeed, incredibly close racing tonight. This is a league and a series with all manner of variations of talent. So for the pack to be staying this close, wow, it's giving us some great racing. It's not what we always see.
No, this league is really maturing into quite the top level of competition. It's always close. You know, last season we had to finish, 7 cars under a blanket? Oh, it's missing Klink. Yeah, giving him a horn.
Once again, gives Coffard a little bump. They are running very, very, very close. You have to imagine with the body language from Alex Klink, he might be looking to get past Coffard rather soon.
You think?
He looks into the first corner, does nothing about it. We'll have to see what he does down that long back straight this lap around.
I'd set him up going into the turn before the back straight. That 180, bottom of the hill, right-hander, long, uphill. That's a great place to set someone up. Let's see if he has a look here. I don't know if he's going to be close enough, though. Nope, not quite there, but maybe with the draft here on the back straight. Ooh, Giovanni back to his bumper. Ooh, Coffard got in a little too deep there, sliding around. That's going to allow the Klink to get a great run. Klink very patient there to get back to the throttle. I see someone else sneaking into this battle. Mr. Merrill, too.
Yep, he's right there with that rather frightening livery. But he is not letting these 4 get away. So this sort of our group for 5 for the lead. And I think a pass has just happened behind them because I think Jordan Babcock might... Oh, no, I think it's Jordan Babcock defending from Tom Ellison. But those two definitely went side by side.
No, Babcock got around Ellison on this lap. Ellison was ahead of him last time by the line. Looks like Ellison just ran wide there and allowed Babcock to get by. Ellison hailing him. He's wanting that spot back, but Babcock really has it hooked up tonight. Babcock known as an oval racer, but some great runs on the road courses lately. Last season, a great run in the Legends. I think a top 3, and might have even started on the pole there. Great run tonight, but we'll have to keep an eye on this as the longtime friends and former league moderators battle it out here, the 27 and the 30.
Yeah, and while these two fight, Alex Bueller looks on. Nate Franklin also could catch them. And then it's quite a gap further back towards Justin Hall, Brandon Crowe, Shane Cameron, and John Patrick, which is another very good battle going on just outside of our top 10.
Take a look at your scoring monitor and tell me what you see there. That blue time.
I see red.
Although Coffard's falling back, he was fast last lap, so
they're side by side on the back straight for second place. Alex Klink's going to try and get it, but he's deep enough on the brakes. I think that's move made. He's up into second, Coffard into third, Giovanni Romano and Evan Merrill very, very close behind.
We got some lap traffic here. He's going to stay off in the grass. Very nice. Thank you. 26.
Jason Schmaus, I don't know if he's got any problems going on with his car.
No, but that was very nice.
Not parked on the racing line. I can't tell you for sure what's going on there, though.
Yeah, I think he just pulled off in the grass. He saw there was a, big run of cars coming. He doesn't want to get in the way of messing up this great race we have. Right now, I would believe it if you told me these 5 cars are chained together in some kind of crazy race they do in Maine.
Yeah, be believable. It's rare that we see more than 2 or 3 car lengths between any of these top 5. And you have to wonder, when does the fuel and pit window open And will any of these guys try and take that to get out of traffic, or are they best off staying with this group and all pitting together? What do you imagine?
I think you got to stay with the group. This is, this pace right here. This is safe, right? If you go off on your own into the wilderness and try to run the pace by yourself, what if you don't go fast enough? What if, at least here you can hold up the other guys if you go slow. And speaking of which, of holding people up, it looks like the 13 might be holding up the 127. The 127 is going to have a look here, I think. He got a great run out of that corner, really closing down the gap here.
I think he's just going to stay in line.
Ooh, Peters got a little bit of a wiggle there in the brakes. Got a bit sideways, but Peters, I don't know, fun fact about Devin Peters, I don't know if you know this, but he actually won a race in a real car race this year in the Champ Car Series in Canada.
Let's see if he can bring that experience to this race. The fastest car out there right now, though, Alex Bueller, has caught up to the back of Tom Ellison. And these two get along sometimes, but, Alex Bueller is going to have to be very careful how he makes his move for this one. He's got massive pace. You look at that, easily 3/10 faster than anyone else on track right now. Alex Bueller's flying out of nowhere somehow.
Yeah, all these cars in the top 10 have championship hopes. So, and they know who they're battling, and it's each other. So, there's not going to be, much quarter given to each other here. I expect close but fair racing all the way back through to at least the top 10, maybe even all the way back into the midfield.
Exactly. Clean slate, start of a new series. And all these guys want to get off to a good start, and there's only one way to do that. It's finish ahead of the other guys. As Alex Bueller kind of looks to the inside on Tom Ellison, but he'll drop back to the inside, try and get a good run up the hill. That's a very difficult corner with some sort of elevation changes, a little crest. You've got to be careful how you put down the power, especially as the tires wear on these cars.
Yeah, you can't win every race if you don't win the first race. As we see, I thought there that Giovanni might get a run on Cawford. It seemed like Cawford had a hard time getting a run onto the backstretch that time, but he was able to hold his position. I think Merrill's just falling in here. He was pressuring Romano there for a little while, but it seems now he's just going to ride.
Yeah, if Evan Merrill's being a tactical operator in this race right now, he'll be saving as much fuel as he can there. Because if he can save, maybe even half a gallon, that could save him as much as 5 seconds or more.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 seconds.
Exactly. That could save him lots of time on the pit stop. He'd come out of the pits, and even from 5th place, saving himself 4 seconds or so would put him in the lead. So there's a lot of jump to be made from being very, very careful with your pit strategy and your fuel burn.
Yeah, you just save, a half a tenth here and there, and before you know it, you've actually made a big difference.
Jordan Babcock flying along, fastest car that last time by, taking 6/10 out of Evan Merrill. So,
and 3/10 out of our leader.
Yeah, he's catching onto this pack. And for the lead, Alex Klenk's looking very, very racy behind Devin Peters right now. In line, but I think Klenk got a pretty good run. He might just wait this time, but he's there. He's there, and Jordan Babcock's definitely now part of this train. So 6-car train for the lead. This is giving us some very, very good racing. This is lovely to watch.
Yes, it is. Oh, is Klink up on the curbs? Ooh, a little bit counter steer there. I don't think he wants to pass through here. He's going to lose more time to the guys behind if he's not careful. Just try to tag on to Peters' bumper, ride around here to the front stretch, then maybe make your move. Who's Cawford? Ooh, right up under him. Cawford all over the curbs.
Now Merrill's dropped back a little bit off these guys, and Jordan Babcock might want to get through into 5th place. We'll have to see how that transpires.
Yeah, Merrill and Babcock are, good mates, so I'm sure the racing will be clean, fair, and maybe even easy for Babcock if Merrill just doesn't feel like he has the pace right now.
Sort of alarming how much he has dropped off the back of what was our lead 5. I'm sure he's still got the pace to stay with these guys, but he might have made a mistake, I'm not sure.
Yeah, as a former series champion, Evan Merrill has the chops to take the fight to just about anyone. I know, I've raced against Evan hundreds of times, and he's a fierce competitor who, is just made for racing.
So our top 6 sort of staying as they are. Look further back.
Bueller's got around Ellison.
Yep, I was going to bring that to our attention. So Bueller's still going pretty quick, staying within a stone's throw of the lead. Nate Franklin in a sort of world by himself there behind in 9th place. Then Justin Hall, and then 11th and 12th, that's just changed places. Ryan Verholst has gotten past Shane Cameron. That looks to be a clean move. And then Brandon Crow, maybe his pace has dropped off a little bit, but still running well enough in 13th. 14th and 15th, a little battle there between Tristan Walker and Edward Hayne. How are we saying that one?
Edward Beeman? Oh,
yeah, not sure.
Behane, okay. Brian Beeman. Sorry, looking at the wrong name. Edward Behane.
And Brian Beeman, Justin Lamons, Philip Linden, Austin Farrow still going, but William Stephen might be catching him a little bit, indeed. So 19th and 20th could be a battle in not too long. Then John Patrick not having the race he'd want. He's down 12 positions from where he started.
Yeah, I think John Patrick's been in the pit lane. Yep, looks like he was stopped for 27.4 seconds. Total time on the lane, 48. That was 3 seconds faster than the other guy that's pit, Matthew Tamashiro.
Yep, so John Patrick pit 2 laps ago, and as you said, 27 seconds stationary, taking the fuel, and I assume tyres as well. So we'll have to use that as our comparison for when eventually our leaders and everyone else pits to see how they do in comparison to John Patrick's 27-second stop.
I'm going to say he needed probably about 5 seconds or 5 gallons of fuel. So, yeah, anything more than, I believe it's 2.5 or 3 gallons, the tires will be free, as in there will be plenty of time because the fuel takes so long.
Yep, exactly. You come into the pit stall, the car goes up on the jacks while they're filling the fuel, and with how slowly it fills, it's not tough in most times to get the tires changed before the fuel is done filling. As Devin Peters from the lead is down onto the lane. That's very interesting. He's the first to blink of the pack, but I think it's just him. I think everyone else stays out. Anyone else coming down onto the lane? No. So Alex Klenk inherits the lead from Alex Coffard, from Giovanni Romano, from Evan Merrill, from Jordan Babcock, as Devin Peters is the first to blink from the lead.
Yeah, this surprises me. I thought he would stay out longer. Like you said, there's a 50% limit on the fuel. That would be, I believe, 11 gallons. I'm surprised that he's having to stop this early, but maybe he feels like he can go faster. Maybe those guys were, he thought they were just hanging on to him. I don't know.
Well, we're just getting within the sort of halfway point of this race, and indeed he did take new tyres. So maybe
it could be a tyre thing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a tyre strategy more than a fuel strategy, because, you know, for example, Alex Klenk, and current leader, his best lap was a 43 dead, but his last lap a 44.5. So maybe Devin Peters is hoping to put in some quick laps on these new tyres.
Good point. So if he can bang on a couple 43s here, you know, let's say he does 3 laps of 43 where they're banging around at 45.5. he's going to be 4.5 seconds up the road when they come out of the pits. That'll be well clear of the draft. Even just a couple laps of this kind of pace is going to be enough to break him away. So I think this might be a good strategy. It wasn't one I was expecting, but it might be spot on by the Canadian. Oh, here goes Clink. Clink coming down the lane. And it looks like I think I saw Babcock also diving in. Yep.
Very messy pit entry just then from Alex Clegg. I think he got some tyres on the grass, some understeer on his way in. It's a difficult pit entry here, and that might have cost him a little bit of time.
Did he, do you think he might have got a penalty? Because there are some penalties to be had out there.
No, I don't think so. I think he just underestimated how tight the right-hand turn on the pit entry is. No damage done, but it slowed him up a little bit. So him and Jordan Babcock
Can I ride along with the 911?
Right,
all right, so here comes the 911 coming down the front stretch. Let's see, where does Alexander Clink come out in comparison? Oh, I don't see him. Looks like he's well clear. Let's cut back to Clink. All right. Clink now just getting up to speed. You can see Peters now out of the picture. Ah, yeah. Great strategy call by Peters there. Really put it on him.
24 seconds of fuel for Devin Peters, while Clink and Babcock, 28 for Clink and 27 for Jordan Babcock. So Devin Peters must be very confident in his fuel number, because he took a little bit less than even those guys who we thought had some draft. If Devin Peters is fueled to the end, that has been a strategy master stroke.
Yeah, that'll be doubly impressive. He was able to save the fuel while setting the pace out front. But we have no reason to doubt him. Devin Peters is a winner in this series. He's done it before, and folks, there's no reason to believe he won't do it again, and it might be here tonight. All right, so how far
stays out?
Babcock made up some time on Clink here. Babcock's a little bit closer. Yep, so we have Romano, Merrill, Ellison, Franklin. All in the pit lane. The front runners of Cofford and Bueller and Hall are now your top three. They were 1st, 8th, and 12th on the grid.
Devin Peters is coming out of the final corner now. And on the pit lane, tyres are just done for some of those guys. None of them rolling in the pit lane yet. And Devin Peters inherits a pretty comfortable, effective lead over those guys like Evan Merrill and Giovanni Romani.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head here. Peters is using the great part of the tire to his advantage, because after a while, everyone's tires are just going to be sort of good and okay and able to do 44s, but by that time, he's going to be 10 seconds ahead.
Yeah, those guys have stayed out, like Alex Coffard and Bueller. They're doing, mid 44s. That last lap for Devin Peters with his new tyres are 43.2. So those guys that have stayed out are losing massive time to Devin Peters, who's taken those tyres early, and he's looking good now.
Man, he undercut the field from the lead. This is a masterful drive by Devin Peters.
At this point, everyone who's staying out, like Alex Coffard, still out. I think they've sort of missed the boat, and they're probably hurting for time right now, staying out there.
Oh yeah, they need to pit. Oh, as we see the 41 get loose there in front of our leader. The only thing I think that can mess up Peters' night right now is traffic. But
indeed,
Devin is a veteran. Yeah. But I think that Devin will be able to play the traffic as well as the other guys, right? They're going to have to deal with whatever he has to deal with. So it's not like an oval race where people will really fight hard to stay on the lead lap. Typically in a road race, once the leader comes around, you just give it up. All right, there we go. Justin Hall on the lane finally. This is going to be interesting to see where he comes out. He was running about 10th earlier. A little... kind of not right on Franklin's bumper, but I think he's he's going to lose a lot here staying out. Crawford, I guess, is really where we'll see the difference because he continues to stay out, and he was one of our top 5. He was, I think, running 3rd there before the stops.
Devin Peters now a 43.5 on the last lap. He's losing a tiny bit of that edge that he had, but when he had those good tyres and everyone else didn't, he's used that pretty well indeed to be 4, maybe 5 seconds clear of Alex Clenk, Jordan Babcock, and those guys.
And I think Clink covered him up a lap later. So it was just that 1 lap jump. Peters must have, he knew whenever he was going to make his move, really did a bang on in lap and must have been a bang on out lap. I guess Clink just left some out there. All right.
So now Alex Coffard comes in. That leaves Alex Bueller out in the lead, but his last lap, a 44.7. That is 1.8 seconds slower than Jordan Babcock, who's part of our leading group. Alex Bueller is also bleeding time by staying out there and not taking new tyres yet. So a lot of guys who were still out there coming onto pit road. There's only a few remaining who haven't come down the pit lane yet, and that is Alex Bueller, Shane Cameron, Brandon Crowe, and Edward Byhan. Everyone else has come in for fuel and tyres now, and you have to say, do it sooner rather than later from what we're seeing of the leaders and where they've all come out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Crawford with an impressive cycle there. Oh, if you thought Peters was close on gas, look at Crawford, 21.1. That's what I was alluding to earlier. I knew he would be saving fuel. He's very good at that. He does. It's his MO. But
yeah, so
here's something I want to talk about. Oh, Behane hasn't pit yet. I wanted to talk about our hard charger, but I think we'll wait just a little longer.
I think we'll have to wait until everyone's taken their pit stops before we can talk about the hard charger. But just to really highlight the difference there is about 21 seconds of fuel for Alex Coffard compared to 28 for Alex Clenk. That is a massive difference. And that is how Coffard managed to stay out. We thought he was losing a lot of time on the tyres, but he might have just been saving the fuel. He's come out the gap to Clenk. Devin Peters is still rattling off really quick times as well. But now Coffard might catch him for the lead.
Yeah, Coffard does have the fresher tires at this point. We thought Peters had really outfoxed them all, but Coffard, with this counter punch here, now he's on the quick rubber. And let's see what kind of lap time he lays down here.
Going to look on board with Alex Coffard as he's got those fresher tyres and he's going to be trying to hunt down Devin Peters. His most recent lap time was an out lap, not an absolute flying lap. So we'll have to wait one more before we can really say for certainty. But, you know, Alex Coffard actually has the fastest lap of the race because earlier in the race he set a 42.8. So when he's got the tyres and he's got the space on track, Alex Coffard no slouch. So with the strategy position, he's now 1.5 seconds back from Devin Peters. He's in the right place to maybe make up that gap and take the lead not too long.
Yeah, I'm watching the timing screen and it's just slowly chipping away. It was 1.4, 1.39, 1.38. It's down to 1.19 right now. 1.16. It just continues to close in. This is the story of two tales here. Different tires. Peters used those tires to get the big jump on everyone. Kind of started the pit cycle, but Coffard remained very patient, wasn't rattled, waited. Now he's going to have the fresher tires here towards the end of the race and maybe use them to get around Peters.
made up huge time in that sort of final sector, those two tight hairpins and then the downhill section through the final corner. They're now within 1 second. It's a 43.3 for Alex Coffard. That is indeed a pretty quick lap.
Yeah, it took about 4/10 out of the Regina resident.
Really quickly, though, for third place, Alex Clank, Babcock, and Romano, they are still a train. And that's for your what we think will be your final spot on the podium, unless Alex Bueller pulls something interesting of strategy. We're sort of expecting that that's where they'll shuffle to.
Yeah. So just a reminder, Bueller continues to lead with Brandon Crowe running second, but we believe that the battle for the overall victory here tonight. Oh, I see Bueller dipping on the pit lane. This will be interesting. See where Bueller comes out. If he's able to take advantage of more of a Cofford strategy and use these tires towards the end. But I'm starting to think that Cofford's tires, I'm just worried, is he going to wear them all out getting there and then not have enough tire to get by? Is it going to be too late?
Hard to say, and it's hard to say also how the different driving styles do or don't look after the tires. But definitely Coffard's closed enough of the gap up that he'll be getting a tiny bit of slipstream, especially along the back straight.
All right, so Peters be taking the lead here as he passes Bueller and Crowe as they go into the pit road. I do believe it was a good move by Cofford. He's much closer to the leader than he was. He's ahead of Klink. He was behind him. So overall, he gained positions, gained track, closer to the leader. Good job. But yeah, our top 9 now is like one big red box. Oh, now it's 10th. So, wow, there's battles all up and down. We have this 3-car battle. Let's tune into that with Klink, Babcock, and Giovanni here.
Yeah, interestingly, for the last few laps, they've been very close together there, but they've stayed in that order. I don't know, are these guys just trying to preserve some tyres so they've got something later in the race? Are they all just trying to manage their fuel number? But they're very, very close. Anything could happen, but they have just stayed in line for the last few laps.
So I'm looking a little farther back here, 7th and 8th. Bueller came out behind Ellison. Bueller will be on much fresher tires. Let's see here. Ellison going to be 5.5 laps on him, so 5 laps fresher tires for Bueller. Is that going to be enough to let him? Yeah, is he going to be able to get around him, you think, here?
I imagine it's probably almost imminent that on those brand new tires, Bueller will be catching Tom Ellison very soon. I'd be interested to watch this one because I could say even maybe by about turn 1, Bueller could be right there, maybe making a move. Through this tight, twisty bits of the hairpin, Alex Bueller closes a little bit. It's one of those times where you need the front grip on the turn-in and you need rear grip to really get the throttle down well. Through the long, sweeping final corner, that's a bit of a drift for Tom Ellison, so Bueller will probably get a better run out of the final corner. There's still a car length and some in it, but Bueller is very close.
All right, you guys keep an eye on that. I'll keep an eye on the lead. If I see a move, I'm going to shout to get you to change the cameras.
Yeah, again, so just the way Tom Ellison's getting the car through the corner, a lot of slip angle. Looks like he has to put a bit of counter steer in as he feeds the throttle in. Those rear tires will be warming up, and that's when they get a bit greasy. It's where the traction gets away from them a little bit. Bueller gets nearly right underneath him. Oh, another big slide from Tom Ellison. He's driving very, very hard, but not looking after those tires. So, how close is Bueller along the main back straight? This is where they reach the highest speeds. And again, not quite close enough. So, they nearly get side by side, though.
He sounds like he's running out of time.
again, Tom struggled with the power down out of the hairpin. Again, every corner, it looks like Tom Ellison needs to be just a little more measured. So Bueller looks to the inside, gets deep on the brakes, and he says, I think this corner is mine. Ellison tries to hang it around the outside, so they're still side by side. The outside becomes the inside into the next hairpin. Bueller tries to over-under, gets a little bit of a better move. This is sort of a little kink here. You can't quite get to the inside there, and indeed Bueller can't. I think he's being patient through the final corner to try and set up a good run down the longest straight towards turn 1, Alex.
Yeah, and that is your best battle right now. The lead has started to open up. Peter's now walking away from Crawford just a bit. Got the gap out to almost a second. Yeah, of course, the commentator's kiss or the commentator's curse there allowed Crawford to close it up there in the braking zone. Now it's down to under a half a second.
Bueller is still absolutely right underneath the rear wing of Tom Ellison. They take different lines through the long uphill right-hander, and I'm not entirely certain.
Oh, the leader spins. Oh, but he gathers it back. About a half a spin there for the 911. Oh, I thought it was all over.
Yeah, he got that rear right out sliding there as he tried to turn into the hairpin. Maybe didn't quite get the downshift so smoothly, but that brings it within 0.3 for the lead as well, as Bueller has dropped back a little bit from Tom Ellison. No, they're also still together as well. So a few battles to look at.
All right, so David, we're coming to the line. It's going to be about 6 to go. What's the prediction software saying? We're inside of 10 minutes. Run me down through the top 10.
Right, so that lead is still Devin Peters from Alex Coffard, but very, very close. Then behind them for third place, still Alex Klenk, followed by Babcock, followed by Giovanni Romani. Those three still in a line. Then we have Evan Merrill sort of biding his time, being patient, and then Tom Ellison and Alex Bueller as Bueller looks to the inside. That's for 7th and 8th. They're still fighting very, very aggressively. Then for 9th place is Nate Franklin, and then the final car in the top 10 is John Patrick with the early pit stop. That is our top 10 with 8 minutes 40 seconds to go.
All right, I think now's a good time to go ahead and talk about the hard charger of the race. And that looks like that's going to be Mr. Ryan Verhulst down there in 11th position. Congratulations, Ryan. He's up 9 positions from the start. So he'll be, as long as things keep going the way they are, he'll be tonight's Dig Insider hard charger of the race.
Back to the lead, though. Devin Peters leading from Alex Coffard. There is no separating these two because Coffard, what is he going to do? Is he trying as hard as he can to get past now, or will he make a move later? But while these two fight, Alex Klenk, Jordan Babcock, Giovanni Romano, that train has slowly been catching the lead too.
Right, and so while you were saying that, is he trying to pass him or not? I think maybe not. If he gets side by side here, he knows Peters is going to give him a scrap. There's no way, if I'm Peters in the last 5 laps, I'm letting you drive by me easy. So they get racing door to door. They've already proven this pack behind. They've closed it down to 3 seconds. It was 5.5 seconds just a few laps ago. So Crawford has to stay in line here, minimize the damage to the guys behind until you know, the last moment if possible, because I think unless Peters runs wide, you just have to ride for to the last lap or so. Yeah, and so that could be another reason. Might be the fuel. He might be playing Peters, so to speak, using that draft, because we know Crawford did have the shortest stop.
Yep, wild variation in the fueling times up and down the field, but there's no doubt nobody took any less fuel than Alex Coffard. He was very, very aggressive on that strategy. We thought before the pit stop he looked like he might be saving fuel, and now afterwards it looks like he might still have to be driving to a consumption number. What do you see?
Let's go back and see the 17 to the 27, a replay maybe 10-15 seconds back.
Yep, so that is Bueller and Ellison. And are you thinking about into the hairpin after them?
Yeah,
back straight.
Yeah, they've
like
got
Ellison,
a little bit of a wiggle. I thought we were going to have a pass, but then they settled back in.
Yeah, Tom Ellison still driving very defensively, but there is no gap there. And Alex Bueller, he might be just playing with his meal right now. I think he might have the pace, but he's being very careful with where he appears in the mirrors of Tom Ellison.
I think that's probably some good analysis. There's really nowhere else to go, right? Once he gets around Tom, there's just not enough time to close the gap down to Merrill. So he might just be playing, or the similar thing to what we think Cofford's doing, just waiting to the last lap. He knows Tom's going to fight him hard. He doesn't need to start fighting hard and maybe let Franklin get in this fight.
Still some battles further down the field, though, and we are looking at them because Brandon Crowe leads Shane Cameron, but I think Shane Cameron's been catching a little bit. And Brandon Crowe sort of moves to the inside slightly defensively, and Shane Cameron doesn't pass into turn one, but I think Brandon Crowe's the one with the fresher tyres, but it's not looking it from the body language as Brandon Crowe wags the tail out a little bit, which is unfortunately, well, it's the cool way to drive these cars. It's not the fastest, and Shane Cameron is right underneath his bumper.
I'm just keeping one eye on the battle for the lead. I don't want us to miss anything. Right now, its situation is normal. Cofford continuing just to ride, we believe, saving fuel, biding his time. It's going to be 3 to go this time. It's the pay window opens soon, though, Mr. Haynes. You got to go if you're going to go before long. As I say that, Clink really getting a great run out of that last corner. Clink, he's ready. He sees the window's about to open. Almost time for trophy time.
Yeah, Alex Clank's almost pulled a second gap on Jordan Babcock and Giovanni Romano. Alex Clank, he's a smart little Swiss German, and he is putting the pace down right now where it matters. If Devin Peters and Alex Coffard have to save fuel, or if they battle each other, or heaven forbid make some contact, Alex Clank is making sure he's in that position where he can take advantage of anything that comes to him. He is the fastest car out there on the last lap, but he puts a bit of a slide on right now. He's trying very, very hard. That looked not the quickest. That was a bit sloppy just then, and Jordan Babcock has caught him some.
Yeah, Babcock really got the elbows up too as he pulls away from Giovanni, and I noticed Merrill starting to close it down on Giovanni, so Merrill wanting to get up there in the top 5 where he's used to running.
Coffard gave a tiny tap to Devin Peters on the exit of the hairpin just because they were running so close. And now, as you say, that gap from Coffard to Clank, it's closing, closing, closing. We get more cars within the one shot as the laps go by. Now almost just 2 seconds, Coffard to Clank. And we know that Peters and Coffard from a strategy position aren't the fastest cars right now.
Right, and we see some great battles all the way back to Bueller and Ellison. They're covering each other off. And Bueller looks inside. Are they going to make contact? No, but Ellison, I think, is going to have to let him go here.
The next 2 corners are right-hand corners, and Bueller has the inside, so he's covered off from Tom now. They're still rather close.
I was going to say it's 2 to go. Time to make your move if you're Alex Cofford. Alex Bueller knew that, and he's made his
Bueller
move.
and Ellison are going to go side by side down the front straight now into turn 1, and Ellison has the inside, the higher ground, if you will. It gets a little bit slidey. That turn in. Ooh, but
now Bueller back advantage to Bueller.
Ellison tries to pinch Bueller down onto the apex. Ellison's going to try and get the good run off the corner. And if he stays side by side, he's got the inside to the next corner. Indeed, he will. These two are fighting very, very hard. Bueller's going to try to cross underneath, though, try and get a better run up the hill, but that looks relatively tidy from Ellison, and he builds a car.
Oh no, our leader just spun! Peter spun! Oh, he gathers it back up. He's able to hold on to second. That allows Crawford to go through.
Like
Same
we saw
thing that caught him
before,
out. Yep.
turned it in with a bit too much rear bias or not a smooth downshift. Big old drift, and now Alex Klenk is right with him, but Coffard is a second, and Coffard is a second and some clear into the lead now, though.
Oh yeah, but you know who the fastest car on the track is last lap? Mr. Jordan Babcock, Mr. Road Course. So here we go, Klink all over the back of the Canadian, sniffing around here through the kink, the penultimate corner into the last bend. Here we go.
White flag will be out this time, so your leader is Alex Coffard, rounds out of the final bend. He's got not a huge, but a comfortable gap. He just needs to bring this home, but behind him, Devin Peters is going to have a mammoth of a job to keep Alex Klenk and Jordan Babcock behind, and then Giovanni Romano might have to defend from Evan Merrill, and behind them, Tom Ellison has a huge gap over Alex Bueller, who's come into the pits again for reasons that elude me and probably logic.
Who's in the pits?
Bueller.
Bueller? Why would he? Yeah.
Heaven knows. If he
let's watch the lead. Klink here has to put on the pressure. I'm sure the pit wall is telling him, put the pressure on the Peters into the hairpin. Peters, though, has a bit of a gap now. A half a second. This is more than he had over Crawford for the last 10 laps or so. I think
Peters is going to have to be careful not to get too
early
deep on the brakes this time. Yep, he's got the gap. He just needs to be calm and controlled, and Klenk won't have the opportunity.
Wow, I can't believe Crawford was able to scare him off the road like that. Just really put the pressure on Peters, forced him into the mistake, and then drove by nice and easy. And here we go. Klink having a look. He's in there nice and tight. Is he going to be able to stick it in? Oh, yeah, it looks.
He's going to have to do something drastic to get past in these final few corners. Alex Coffard looks relatively home and safe, but this battle for second, spicy. We haven't had any safety cars or anything, and the battles are still so very, very close. Alex Coffard, little drift out of the final corner, but he's going to take the checkered flag. Behind him, though, well, Devin Peters has just got enough drive.
Covered at the line, he spins, then there's Peters, then Klink, then Babcock, Romano, Merrill. All right, further back is going to be Ellison.
Yep, Tom Ellison will take 7th place. Nate Franklin's coming around for 8th. And 9th place, John Patrick, is now just coming out of the final corner. And then Alex Bueller, 2 pit stop Bueller, will in fact get 10th place, the final spot in the top 10, though he's only just ahead of Ryan Verhulst, who remains our hard charger.
Do you think he got a puncture?
I have absolutely no clue, if I'm honest. I could speculate and say he maybe didn't have enough fuel, maybe he just felt like a new set of tires, or maybe he just missed his lollipop man and he wanted to say hello again.
Well, it's hard to tell, but why don't you go ahead and run us down through the finishing order? I'll run down to the paddock and see if I can get a word with our top 3.
So our semi-official results now, as most of our drivers have taken the checkered flag, our winner is Alex Coffard. He just didn't crack under any of the pressure that Devin Peters did. Devin Peters still held on for 2nd. Alex Klenk gets 3rd, and Jordan Babcock 4th place. 5th, Giovanni Romano. And then 6th is Evan Merrill, 7th, Tom Ellison, 8th, Nate Franklin, 9th, John Patrick, 10th, Alex Bueller. Then 11th, Ryan Verhulst, 12th, Brandon Crow, 13th, Shane Cameron. Those two stayed very close. So that was a great battle between some relative newcomers there, a bit further down the field, but great racing to be had everywhere. So 14th was Tristan Walker, 15th, Justin Hall, 16th, Edward Behan, 17th, Austin Burdick, 18th, Mark Antonucci, and then 19th, Brian Beeman, then Justin Lamons, Will Stephen, Philip Linden, Austin Farrow, Matthew Tamashiro, Matthew Murphy, Jason Schmaus, and last was Alex Harrington. But I believe we might have an interview now.
Yes, I was able to get a hold of Alex Klink down there in the paddock. He was our third place finisher tonight. Congratulations, Alex. Can you tell us a little bit about the race tonight?
Yeah, so started 5th, didn't quite get everything out in qualifying, but was able to jump up some places, do some passes, which was pretty satisfying. Didn't have JRT like some of the guys out there did, and with the length of time it just takes a street stock to refuel, I took a bit too much and, it lost me a lot of time.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Was the fuel, do you think, how much did you have left there at the end?
I had about 0.4 gallons. In any other car, basically, it wouldn't really be a big deal, but in this car, it just takes forever.
Yeah. Were you surprised at how big a jump Peters was able to get in just one lap?
Yeah, I think he, with pitting first, he got the new tires, obviously, and that, gives you a bit of a gap, and he definitely took less fuel than me, so he made the right decision.
Well, good job tonight. We know you're on a limited deal this season, so we hope to see you back when you can. But congratulations tonight for another podium finish.
Thank you.
Devin Peters, this is Alex and David up in the booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Hey, buddy. Great run tonight. Really strong pace. Look like you managed to undercut the field from the lead. Tell us about it from your seat.
I was feeling real smart when I pulled that one off. And then on the second to last lap, when the low fuel alarm went off on JRT and scared me into spinning, I felt pretty dumb. So it's highs and lows in this race for sure.
Yes, I know that alarm that you speak of. It seems like there's some kind of air raid coming in. So yeah, it is quite scary.
Yeah, well, and I just jumped enough to lock it up, and and then that was all. But yeah, I felt pretty good about my pace after qualifying, and tires are always free in the street stock, and so I thought that we were going to bring one home for Hugh Jass, but I didn't get to be the one to do it this time, unfortunately.
Yeah. David, we were talking about Devin earlier tonight. Totally lost my train of thought. Take over.
Okay. Well, are we able to grab Alex Coffard? Is that possible? Because he's our winner.
So thanks for your time tonight, Devin. Good job on the podium finish, and sorry you weren't able to bring it home there.
Cheers. I'll be there for the next one, and we'll do a little better.
Hey, well, good points and a good start to the season. So that's your second place finisher, Devin Peters. And finally, our winner tonight, I'm going to hand you over to David Haynes for the winner's interview.
So we've got Alex Coffard, winner of the first round of season 23 of the Reddit iRacing League. Mr. Coffard, maybe your strategy was pretty good, but what kind of pressure did you have to put on Devin to get him to crack?
Well, I tried to fuel save as much as I could, but as soon as I started doing that, I noticed he was doing it as well, and I knew that couldn't fly, so I tried to just poke my nose in a little bit and hopefully make him drive in his mirrors or get distracted, and I'm not sure if that's what did it or not, but he made a mistake, and I was able to capitalize.
Going into this one, what were you thinking about the tire strategy and about the fuel strategy? Because we saw a few different tactics out there today.
I don't know if you guys got to see me much. I was probably half throttle on the straights for the entire first stint. Let some of the quicker cars go by. Looks like JRT saying I was about 6 seconds less on pit lane than everyone else. So, fuels, it just takes so long to fill this car that I found it more important than just trying to drive away. And then it worked pretty good. I mean, I finished, or came out top 2 with a chance to win and got lucky.
So, with lots of points in the bank for you after the first round, what do you think your chances are at maybe taking a run at the title this season?
That's a very far outside chance. I think street stocks is something that I do quite well in, and looking at the whole series, you have to have a lot of talent. And I would like to say that I can try, and I will try, but I think that's going to be a long shot.
Well, congratulations to you, and I do hope we see you out in more of the rounds in the future.
Thank you very much.
There we go. That was our winner, Alex Coffard, taking home the big prize, the big trophy after the first round of Season 23 of the Reddit iRacing League.
Yeah, so I think we saw some great racing tonight. This is hopefully only a sign of the things that are to come. I expect big things this season.
Yep, and so we'll be back this same time next week with the NASCAR trucks at Charlotte Oval.
Yeah, so that's just another example of the type of driver it takes to win in this series. You have to be skilled to be able to drive all types of cars: the road racing, the oval racing, dirt, everything. And we'll have a champion by the end of the year, and he'll be a well-versed driver.
Well, so I think that comes close to wrapping up this round, Alex.
Yeah, I think so. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and thank all the drivers for putting on such a great show. Thank you, David, for sitting here in the booth with me. And I want to thank Michael Derby for working all the knobs and switches and making everything happen. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Team Huge Ass and Dick Insider for the Hard Charger race. So until next week, I'm Alex Albert. He's David Haynes. See you then.